Hi Aries, welcome to your April 2024 reading, to eclipse season and to your season. Aries, sometimes in the pursuit of going on your own path or doing things your own way, you can't quite do them by the book, right? Or maybe even just don't want to sometimes, because you are trying to go the unwalked path. You're trying to be innovative. You're trying to do things your own way. And that's not necessarily the problem here. More of what I'm seeing is kind of this message to be more aware of the balance that must exist in order to get to the point where you are doing things your own way, particularly with finances, with your job, especially if you're working for yourself. Make sure that you're dotting your I's, crossing your T's, financially, any kind of paperwork, even if it seems silly or if it's, not really necessary or you don't agree with the principle of it, it still has to be done, right? With justice here, with the Five of Pentacles in the reverse, I feel like this could go two ways. Either this is something from the past that wasn't done properly and it's going to come back to the forefront here for you, and it might sting a little bit, but it's going to be resolved, or it might be a little complicated. It might bring complication. The other way I see this is that, if this is not something that you've done or a mistake that you made in the past, I feel like this is your justice or justice being given to you. For some reason, I feel like this is particularly around work or money, but it doesn't have to be. But that's where I'm sort of feeling the message there. Now, if this is something that works out in your favor, justice is brought to a situation, or it's brought to light, how someone treated you or the unfairness, or if it's more serious, once that comes to light, there is going to be a huge relief. And there's going to be a temptation to kind of like, see, I told you. There's a little bit of gloating, perhaps. I mean, you're right, though. So be careful about getting too much in that energy, though. Because there's something about, at least outwardly, inwardly allow yourself to celebrate, feel however you feel. There's a vindication here. However, the outward, let's call it celebration of it, there's something about that that's not going to set right with other people. And I'm not saying that you have to care about what other people think. There's just something to it that's not going to look good. Perhaps other people don't understand the situation, or, it's not for them. And it may cause more conflict if you project that kind of joyous or vindicated energy too much outward. And that's, of course, going to be from people that perhaps weren't involved, who want to monitor and moderate how you handle things and feel things. And I'm not saying, change your behavior or how you express yourself in order to avoid those people. But there's something tied to this in the current path that you're trying to build for yourself. So it's kind of just take the win, or take the opportunity to allow that thing that's happened to finally be resolved. You've got your justice, and go from there. And just keep it to yourself. Enjoy it for yourself. It's not for other people anyway. Now, I feel that if there is a temptation, Aries, to kind of rub it in the other person's face, especially the person that did the thing, that's not going to benefit you at all. It's going to rope you into something that is going to lead to a loss of some sort, whether that's a financial loss, whether that's just wasting your own time. You will potentially get roped up into another situation with this person, this group of people, whatever it was. So be mindful to just, move along. They've got their loss there. They can let them deal with it themselves. You don't have to kind of also prove to them that they were wrong. It's going to be brought out. It's going to be known. So be careful about the temptation there. Now, there's this call, this draw to, I almost want to call it returning to a state of innocence for you. Perhaps it's your birthday, or you're reminiscing on your own childhood, and perhaps in that, there are some things that you want to recover. Perhaps there are relics, memories, interests that were left in childhood that you want to pick up again, or you just want to maybe indulge in a little bit. The reason that you're feeling that way is because moving forward, there's a need to reestablish what purification means to you, what purity means. And I don't mean purity in the sense of, you can't do anything wrong and you have to be perfect and any of that. It's really what it is to you. And I feel like it's more of a clearing out of energies that aren't serving you, energies that have become too stagnant, energies that you just don't want to embody going forward. And even some things, perhaps mindsets, behaviors, patterns, that made you perhaps believe that you had lost some of your light or some of your strength. And perhaps that was spending too much time listening to other people and perhaps internalizing their projection of you. And so, this whole, as I called it, purification ritual would be to distill that from yourself and get back to who you actually are and who you want to be. Because there's a recovery of the sacred fire that you hold, or there's the opportunity to recover it, to be reborn in it. And so it's not so much about, looking at the past and trying to replicate it. It's about finding what has been lost, or perhaps dimmed or forgotten in some cases. And it's more like, oh yeah, I remember this is my fire. This is my sacred light. This is who I actually am. This is where my strength comes from. You're the first of the fire signs. You have an ability to clear out things through the process of burning them down, of getting rid of them, of, that purification through fire. And now it's, I think you've been quite busy doing that perhaps for other people and other situations. And now it's time to do it for yourself. And for some of you, I feel like this could mean going back to basics or getting rid of a lot of clutter, whether that's literal clutter in your house, or it's, the thoughts that have accumulated, the belief systems that you've adapted, the perspectives that you have on the world that have gotten way too convoluted. And going back to a more simple way of looking at life and of moving through life. Sort of a spring cleaning of yourself, of your soul, of your energy, and your space. And that's what brings the clarity. Now, I don't necessarily see that this is going to require you to perhaps disconnect from people or to isolate. I don't really see that happening or the need for that. But if you do feel kind of the urge to do so, it wouldn't be a bad idea to go through this process in that manner. But it's not necessary because I think an element to this is that other people, that fire that you have, that passion, that energy that you exude is there to, carve out that pathway for other people as well, not just for yourself. Spiritually, you are a leader. You're the one carrying the torch at the beginning. You're burning the pathway that wasn't there before through the forest, whatever we want to call it. And so the thing that you'll perhaps notice with other people this month is that they don't see things quite the way you do. And that's because you're ahead of them, because you're supposed to be. You've learned things already. You've seen the things that they haven't seen yet. Because again, you're the one that is cutting or burning out the path. And so have a little patience with others if they don't quite see your vision or they don't quite understand it. It's not really for them to understand it until they get there. And so there might be a little feeling of, I don't know if it's going to be quite loneliness. It may maybe it might feel a little bit like burdensome here and there if you let yourself turn it into that. But instead try to see it as your purpose. It is a challenge for you. And yes, it can be lonely when people don't understand you or don't understand your ideas or can't see your vision, but they will eventually. And if they don't, that's not really your problem. Everyone has their own path. Or as I like to say, we're all on the same path, we just see it completely different sometimes. And the amount of time it takes us to understand it is different, according to each person. But you're at the forefront again. So understanding and wisdom is going to come to you a lot quicker. Insight. And so whether it's you're dealing with people in your personal life, in your career, in whatever it is, try to adjust your expectations just a bit. That doesn't mean to set yourself aside necessarily or above anyone else or anything like that. It's more lean into a deeper understanding of where people are and how much they're capable of from that place that they're in. And then kind of move them around to where they need to be based on that in your life. And you can't really, I think another sort of realization that you're going to have this month is what it means to take people on this journey with you, and what it means to have to leave people exactly where they are because they can't see it. They can't see the vision, they can't see the future, they can't see what you see. And relieving yourself somewhat, to some degree, of the burden of thinking you have to carry them all. Because while you do have this divinely appointed purpose to lead others, that doesn't mean carry them all on your back. They will get there in their time. So again, that adjustment of expectation, of understanding that, hey, I'm here to lay the path. It's your job to walk it. It's your job to pick up on all of the information, all of the knowledge that is offered along the path. Your job, Aries, is to set the example, is to lay the groundwork. I hope this was helpful for you, and I'll see you next month.